My name is Izzie Bullock. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and I am an employment program manager at the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. I also have an interest in working with people with disabilities around sexuality, and a fun fact about me is I love to read. Inclusion means, have you ever heard of the saying that inclusion is everyone having a seat at the table? To me, and I've said this quite often, inclusion means not only having a seat at the table, but everyone at the table with their voice also being heard. Because everyone can have a seat, and that's representation, but being included is your voice being heard and you being a valued participant in an activity. Yes, I am. Right now I'm in QD with working full time. I'm an active participant. Out in the QD, I hang out with friends. Even with working, I help other people with disabilities become employed. So I'm also helping other people become included in their community as well. Whether that be systematically or physically, I believe both. I've been able to not physically access buildings, which then hinder my full participation. Systematically, I think sometimes people have unconscious bias. So instead of wanting to work with my disability, people just rather not deal with it sometimes, and then so they just unbiasedly don't include me, whether that be in friends groups or when I was a college student in my undergrad. I briefly went into child life, which was tied to the early childhood program, and I was a student teacher at the preschool on the campus, and the preschool teacher did not feel comfortable with me in the classroom because she did not know how the students would interact with my disability, which at that time when you think of preschool age, they're 3 and 4, that's a great time to be teaching young kids about disability. Teach them while they're young, so when they grow up in society, being around people with disabilities is just the norm. To make legislators be more mindful of inclusion, I think they need to be more mindful of the laws that are passed and making sure inclusion is being mindful of how a law is going to impact one's inclusion or disclusion into that. And I think that sometimes inclusion is an afterthought, like, oh, we didn't realize how that would impact things. Now we need to go back and fix it. But when writing a law or passing a law, inclusion should be in the forefront of how is this going to impact a certain party or people with disabilities. So as I stated, I am an employment program manager. So I oversee our employment navigator programs, which is where we work with Evoke Rehab with adults with disabilities around gaining interpersonal skills needed to obtain or maintain employment. So while we may not generally get somebody placed in employment, sometimes we do, our main focus is helping them gain the interpersonal skills. So whether that be resume, interview skills, self-advocacy, how to appropriately communicate with an employer, and the appropriate relationships to have in the workplace. And then I also oversee all of our benefits counseling programs, which help people with disabilities who are receiving Social Security and public benefits understand how employment will impact those benefits. That people with disabilities cannot work, or that they need extravagant extra amounts of help, and it's going to be a lot on the employer. I think that's far. Yes, there is at times extra help needed, but people with disabilities are just as hardworking as a non-disabled person and are often so thankful to be employed. They are often the best employees. Speak up and speak loud. Sometimes I think people with disabilities can sit back, and I think we need to get our voices heard, and we need to be loud until we're heard and keep speaking until someone's willing to hear us.